Well, I'm so pleased you can join me this morning. We're going to take a morning run, passenger run through the Colorado Rockies from Idaho Springs Depot. And I think it's to the Dermont Depot. Well, it's just a few miles up the road a bit. Take us about, I think, a half hour to get there. Don't have a lot to say, but if I think of something, I'll chat with you for a bit. But I'm running a machine rail steam, one of the moguls, I think, and looks like a 2.6 steam engine. So let's get in and get going. We already got our steam built up in the boiler, so steam generation's good. For this particular model, I don't have a lot in gauges. I just have our steam generation gauge here, and I think this is the brake gauge. Let's find out. No. There is no loco brake, just a train brake. So the Clear Creek is a depiction of a railroad, narrow gauge railroad, from back in the 1930s. It was put in place, this whole area, I guess, was laid out in the 1890s or so, 1880s, 1890s. But we're going to go ride the narrow gauge steam. And for this, I'm going to put up the little HUD. This HUD here helps me a lot because we don't have a lot in the way of gauges here. And we're going to get ourselves going. So, get the bell going, let everybody know that it's time to get aboard. Give a couple toots before we take off. Throw the reverser full forward and just give a little tug on the regulator and release the brakes. It'll take it a minute to get going here. There we go. You never quite get things the way you want to when you do these videos. I had set this up identically to the point where the sunrise was coming over the mountains with a cloudy day, and it was shining down on the buildings, giving a beautiful morning sunshine against the backdrop of these old-time buildings. It was just gorgeous. I cannot repeat that for the life of me. I tried resetting, it's the clouds, I think, that are blocking the sun, and I tried resetting things. We want to go through this town quite slowly. We're only going about 5 miles an hour. And even when we get into the mountains, I think my top speed will be around 20. I got to be careful not going around in the narrow gauge bends too much faster than that. Mostly keeping it to around So around, 15 or so would be ideal. When the sun does come peeking through the clouds over the mountains on this little town of Idaho Springs, it is quite pretty. But I tried 5 or 6 times to repeat it and I couldn't get it done. Unless I went for a clear winter day, as a lot of times I'll do that. So it looks to me that this meter is the steam chest. I'm not quite sure how to read it. I'm reading that the steam chest is 137, almost up to matching the boiler pressure. And yet, let's take a look at this close up. This makes sense for the boiler pressure. I'm not quite sure what the units of measure are here, but I'll keep an eye on it. Ah, now the sun peeked through the clouds. That's what I'm looking for. We got plenty of water in the tank, so no need to stop. Running some Colorado Southern coaches, and I also got some Denver and Rio Grande Western from Durango. I have the Durango and Silverton route, which is a third-party route put out by the Colorado Railroad Museum in Durango. I've been there myself. I want to go back and do that tour run from Durango to Silverton. I would think that would be fun. It's a beautiful mountain, very similar to this area here, I would think. And I went and I it's donation ware. Years ago, I went ahead and got it, and installed it on my new computer, and it looks fine except for I'm missing the ground texture. All the buildings and stuff, as far as I can tell, I got those assets. I got almost all the assets, but I'm missing one ground texture asset, which is kind of disappointing. I got it on my laptop, and I keep moving assets over. Eventually, I'll get them all moved over, and maybe I'll correct that problem. But, it's an old route, the Durango and Silverton route. It's only offered by the museum as a donation ware, a worthy donation anyway, to be quite honest with you. But it's kind of old, and the steam engine is similar to this one, but there's no cab view. It's low res, but it does come with some nice cars and some coaches. The yellow painted passenger coaches, open observation cars, kind of like what they're running today for the tourists as well. You can use those too. We're just barely going a little over 10 miles an hour. I think what we'll do, I just punched the mic by accident. I think what we'll do is, once we get out of town, we'll see if we can get this thing up between 15 and 20. Definitely a beautiful scenic route, this Clear Creek. So this is downloadable content put out by Dovetail, the Clear Creek route, and I'm loving it. Now, I am big into Train Sim World, and I've kind of gotten away from Train Simulator Classic, but Train Sim World does not have any narrow gauge. In fact, in North America, it doesn't even have North America's theme. So it's kind of a disappointment. And, obviously, Train Sim Classic, if you look at the textures here, they're kind of, dated. Not as beautiful as Train Sim World. Even still, I think Train Sim World is getting a little dated to modern day graphics, but it's so much nicer. But this particular route is quite beautiful. It's so scenic and such a beautiful route, even though we're kind of have a lower texture on the trees and the grounds and stuff. It's still quite enjoyable. And this steam engine is produced by Machine Rail, and it's absolutely top-notch, worthy of the best simulators out there right now. I'm so pleased that they put out this route. It's been out for, I think, 8 years or so. And I just now got it. I like to find the ground texture. I could always run the Durango and Silverton on my laptop just to compare, but I like to find ground texture to get on my new computer here and kind of compare these two routes, Clear Creek and Durango donation ware. this engine is a Machine Rail. I think it's called Machine Rail has their own website, and they have beautiful engines there. Absolutely the best quality modeling and high detail and high texture detail for sure. And I think this particular pack is the DSP PRR Constellation pack, and they have a mogul pack. So I can't remember which one it is, but it is definitely worth it. But I mention it because I want to mention the fact that when you look at these packs in the Machine Rail store, and they're only like $12 US money. But when you see them in the store, there's a warning to them that they're outdated and no longer supported, and they're not quick drive compatible. I mean, they just weren't built for quick drive. Although it does come, so I figured it's not much of a risk, $12. I'm going to go ahead and I've seen other people running them, so I know they must run. They said they built them for Train Simulator Classic. So I went ahead and got them. And this is the problem with talking. I forget about driving the train. So I went ahead and got them, and yeah, they plopped right in quite easily using the utility tool to install the what do they call the RWP. The pack comes as a RWP. You can extract that RWP with, if you have the kind of software, into its contents and assets and drop them in yourself, or you can just do what I did, use the tool to simply install it. Isn't this beautiful though? So if you look in your root directory for Railworks under Steam apps, Common, Railworks, and then look under that directory, you will find utilities.exe. You run that utility, and then you go to Package Manager, and I'm trying to run the train. It's starting to die on me and think at the same time. You run that utility. There's a Package Manager tab. Make sure you hit refresh, and then hit install, and then it will bring up a window for you to browse where your RWP file is, your package. And then once you say OK, it'll install it, and then you're ready to go. One of the things I'm doing is I'm using the reverser to shorten the stroke, and by doing that, it's actually giving me more speed. You gotta watch it though, because you gotta watch the steam chest pressure, and you see the boil pressure is at 115. That's getting a little low. We usually like it up to about 130, 120 to 130, and I am using a little steam as the boil pressure drops. The steam chest pressure can't get up any higher than the boiler pressure, of course, but you can keep backing off on the reverser, saving steam, and you can fine tune this, because once you get to a point where you back the reverser up to such a short stroke that it begins to drop, see how it drops if you can read that steam chest pressure, it's starting to drop. I went a little bit too far, too short of a stroke. I want to go back up a little, and that's how you fine tune your reverser to give you the best stroke. Now I got the best stroke. I'm also going to pull back on the regulator. I noticed that my speed is dropping, so I'll go ahead and let the regulator get up again. I'm still hoping the sunshine, it's breaking through a little bit. I'm hoping it would break through a little bit more. Because it's very pretty when it does. Now, I don't know if you noticed that my chugging started to slow up here. So I noticed that my steam chest pressure was starting to drop, so I put the regulator, I put the reverser up a little bit more to regain my steam chest pressure. You know, by the way, it's not so much that you need the steam chest pressure to match the boiler pressure. It could mean that you're going a lot faster, even though going fast is typically what you want to do, but you may be going faster than the speed limit, and so you want to bring that pressure down a little bit. You don't want it to be as effective. Hop into the scary. Nobody in the back coach. There's Little Red Riding Hood growing up. Is I want to watch this gauge as I mess around with the regulator and the reverser. I see the numbers changing on the HUD, but I don't really see those needles moving much. I'm not sure how to read that gauge. But I'm chugging along about 15 miles an hour now. That's quite nice. Just what I was hoping to do through this canyon. I was talking about the Durango and Silverton donation ware It has a steam engine like this one, but it's, no cab, very low resolution. It's not the prettiest. It's a working model, no question there. But same goes for Clear Creek. They have the Mogul, which is a similar size steam engine, and it does have a cab and gauges, and it's a little nicer than the one in Durango, Silverton, Durango. But it's nowhere near as nice as this. It's kind of, dovetail gauges steam. And it's okay, but if you can get your hands on one of these, and you can, if you go to the machine shop, and go ahead and get it. Quite beautiful. Now, if you're interested in what grade you have, you can always hit the F3 key. The F5 key is what puts that little HUD up there, the expert HUD. F3 key will kind of show you the grade. Well, it does show you the grade. So that's why we're slowing down and going up grade a little bit here. Whoop, don't want that one. Give it more of a stroke and a little bit more regulator. Finding the best stroke now. So I'm dancing around between my regulator and my reverser, and watching the steam chest pressure, whether it goes up or down. And certainly when you're struggling, you certainly want your steam chest pressure to be up at the same pressure as your boiler pressure. And then you can mess with the regulator to see if you can give it even more oomph. Sometimes, believe it or not, easing back on the regulator helps. So you got to toy around with it. starting to level out now. We're getting close to the depot. I gotta get through the yard first. First stop. Tried to stop before we got to the road. And there we are. First station. There's a lot of other stations along the way. And take a look. I think there's a sign on what station this is. At Dermot, if I remember. Here it is. Dumont. Dumont Station. The beautiful town of Dumont. Anyway, there's other stations up the road, so there's many stops you can make, and there's lots of beautiful canyon to go climb and enjoy yourself. A very scenic route for sure, without a doubt. A lot of nice buildings modeled here. The mountains are well modeled with the trees and the bushes. Very much enjoying this. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the run. It was a short, about 30-minute run or so. And narrow gauge trains in Train Simulator Classic. Catch you next time.